Well, hi everyone, Sean Humphreys here. Welcome to All Things Retirement. In this installment, we'll continue with our review of Daniel Levitin's great book, Successful Aging. We're going to go through this book over the next several weeks, parsing out some great material that deals with the whole topic of successful aging, and really that's part of a sound retirement and income plan. You know, we want to spend time obviously putting the right financial strategies in play for our retirement, but we also want to take time to think through other aspects of a retirement plan that will impact its success. Being successful at the aging experience is obviously a very important one. So we're going to talk about another trait that Daniel Levitin says is critical to long-term success as we age. Now, if you're new to our channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We're posting content all the time on various aspects of retirement planning and different aspects of wealth planning. So if you don't miss any future content, make sure you hit the subscribe button and alert bell so you'll be aware of the new content that we upload on a regular basis. Okay, let's lean into this topic today from Daniel Levitin's book on successful aging. We're going to talk about the trait of openness. So in our last video, we talked about Daniel Levitin's reference in the book Successful Aging on David Allen's book, Getting Things Done. And so the main reason he was talking about that book was that it's packed full of very practical advice that really zeroes in the area of behavioral psychology, or trying to put in systems and processes that help us to do the things that we need to do. And so some of the content talked about what successful employers look for, and they apply to our personal lives as well. And that's conscientiousness, a little bit of curiosity, and honesty. Those are really important things. So you can have someone that has, off the charts IQ, but if they don't have the characteristics of conscientiousness, as an example, or honesty, it can lead to really dismal outcomes. So we will talk about IQ, EQ, emotional quotient, and we'll talk about CQ, which is curiosity quotient. And according to Levitin and the research on aging and health, CQ is very predictive of life success. In fact, almost as predictive, if not more predictive, than IQ and EQ. So let's look at one of the traits that ties into this whole sort of curiosity quotient, which is the trait of openness. And so the trait of openness really is important because it helps us to embark on that journey of successful aging and being open to new experiences, to try new things, and to be someone who's comfortable moving into new environments is very, very important to the aging experience. Unfortunately, for many people, they kind of go the opposite direction. They get hardened in terms of their characteristics and their traits and their ideas and attitudes. We want to push against that as we get older and foster the trait of openness. Now, like any character quality or personality trait, there is a balance here. So too little openness obviously is problematic for the reasons I just mentioned. We have to be adaptive, and we need to try new things. And if you're not open, you're probably not going to try new things and be open to new experiences. But you can also have too much openness. And we have people in the culture, and we all know people who have been very open to new experiences. That's wonderful, but it had deleterious impacts in their lives. They were a little bit too open, and they didn't have, a little bit of breaks or sidebars that would protect them in the event that those new experiences went sideways. Great example in our culture is Steve Jobs. What an amazing business person, very creative, did some amazing things in the area of technology, and he was very open to new experiences and looking at how different aspects of art and areas that were not directly tied to technology had a very big impact on the design of Apple products and how that business was run. In the latter stages of his life, when he was struggling with pancreatic cancer or a version of that, because of his openness trait, he was very open, he was very strongly influenced to try new and novel strategies from a healthcare standpoint to sort of fight the disease. And some people would argue that his openness actually led to his death. In other words, because he didn't want to take the more tried and true traditional protocols and went with a very novel new approach to healthcare in that area, it may have actually shortened his life. So like everything, it seems, in life, cultivating the trait of openness is a balancing act. So we do need to focus in on, because the natural tendency is to become less open as we get older. And so part of the journey in terms of retirement and retirement planning and getting ready for retirement is recognize that you need to have a bit of a game plan in terms of how you're going to fight against, push against that natural tendency to become a little bit less open. Now, the wonderful thing is that traits are malleable. We can change them. We can foster new traits as we get older. And so when it comes to the trait of openness, the first thing that you need to do is just begin cultivating. Key number one, begin cultivating what your internal dialogue is. What are you saying to yourself? What are your natural default conversations in your head? Pay attention to those things, because those default positions are definitely influencing your behavior. That's the first step. So once you do that and you become more conscious of your default conversations, then the next thing you need to realize is our past behavior and thinking does not have to define our future selves. So if you're not very open, it doesn't mean you can't cultivate openness. You can. And so you want to make sure that you begin an intentional process of doing that. Now, one of the things that is really interesting in the research that Levitin talks about is that experiments have shown that people who act like they're happy, as an example, end up being happy. And it turns out that our nervous system is bi-directional. And what I mean by that is it doesn't matter whether the brain makes the mouth smile or the mouth makes the brain smile. The two things are intimately connected. Now, why is that important? Well, when we begin to cultivate new traits, they're not going to feel natural initially. In fact, they may even feel really uncomfortable. And so we'll begin to sort of fight against the cultivation of those new traits because of that. So you want to make sure that your internal dialogue is, I'm going to do this irrespective of how I feel, and that eventually my nervous system is going to be coming into sync with that. So you'll feel that openness trait as being actually consistent with your internal dialogue. It won't feel like a foreign thing. It'll feel more and more comfortable as you begin to cultivate it. So when it comes to the openness trait, smile, think positive thoughts, and try new things. And if you're not feeling good right away, just act as if you are cheerful and positive and looking forward to trying new things. So it's basically fake it until you make it. I mean, it's an old truism, but there's a lot of actual truth in the literature and the research that you need to act as if to begin experiencing those traits in reality, in our physiology and in our emotions. So if being open to new experiences is critical as we age, what I'd encourage you to do right now even is take out a piece of paper and write down some things that you think would encourage you in the direction of becoming more open. So I've got 3 examples in my own life, and COVID sort of prompted this a little bit, so as we've been going through the pandemic. But I took up pottery, which I don't really have the patience for, but it's been a great experience for me this last year. I've taken up a little bit of painting, and initially that was through the area of paint by numbers, which I thought would be really straightforward, but no, doing paint by numbers is not easy. That's been a good experience for me. And then I've always been very active physically, but I began trying to get back into road riding and riding with groups. And that can be a little bit stressful doing road riding. And so that put me into a zone where it'd just be easier to go on a solo ride and enjoy the outdoors on my road bike and my gravel bike. But I decided I'm going to start doing some group riding, which, there's some subtle pressures, particularly if you're a little bit of a type A personality in a group, that there's always some subtle competition going on back and forth. Those are great experiences. They pushed the envelope and they were new for me, and I had to move in that direction. And when I did that, it cultivated this openness trait so that down the road there may be other new experiences I need to be cultivating. So begin thinking through in your own life, what are some new experiences I can begin doing? And you might not feel comfortable or automatic right away, but learning new skills, learning new information, meeting new people. What are the things that you can do in your life to begin moving in the direction of fostering and even improving the trait of openness? Well, it's my hope that you found this content helpful. And again, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do so and hit the alert button so you get future videos on this topic and other topics around the retirement income planning area. As well, in the notes to this video, you can find a link to our retirement planning resource page where we talk about our retirement coaching service. And if you're a few years away from retirement, we've got some great resources to get you thinking about the key aspects of retirement income planning and information you need to begin working on prior to your retirement journey. Anyway, I'm wishing you all the best as you begin to plan for retirement and successfully enjoy retirement and aging. You take care.